So today I'll start with the bean life cycle. Okay. So what do we mean by bean life cycle? Did I give you all any idea of it in the initial stages? Okay. Uh, if someone joins a company, let's say, so today was someone's joining, let's say 3rd April was the joining. So is there any immediate activity which is happening immediately after he joins? So there might be activity called as document submission. So immediately as you join, you will be asked to submit the documents, a copy of your PAN card for your salary, copy of your Aadhaar card for your address. So the company is offering you a pick up and drop. They should know from where to pick you up, where to drop you. So immediately after joining, what is the activity? Okay. And let's say someone is leaving the company. So let's say today someone is leaving the company. Today is his last date. He has switched and he has got offer letter from a different company. So he's leaving the current company. Okay, so today he is resigned. Today he is his resignation, joining and resignation. So what will be the immediate activity which is done before he leaves the company? Yes, guys. So here we are saying activity to be carried out immediately after joining company, right? And what is this activity which you are looking for? Activity to be carried out just before leaving company. So what activity should be there before he leaves the company? So if the company has given him a laptop, if he was working from home and company had given him a laptop, what will he have to do with the laptop? Can he use it further? So he will have to surrender the resources. Okay, surrender company resources. If he was a manager, company had given him a car, he will have to surrender that car, surrender all iCards, everything. So what is the difference between these two activities now? Yes, guys, who will tell me? One is done immediately after and one is done just before. So similarly, when an object is created in Java, which is the function called? Well, creation time. Yes, guys, which is the name of the function which is called immediately at the time of object creation? Constructor. Correct? And which is the method called when the object is destroyed? Yes, anyone? Is the destructor, and which is the destructor in Java? What is the name of the destructor function in Java? It is finalize. What is the name of the function? So if you want to carry out any activity immediately after the constructor is called, so if you want to invoke any method or call any method immediately after constructor, you can do that using Bean lifecycle management. And if you want to call a method immediately before the object is destroyed, call any method just before object, okay, just before destructor or just before the finalized method. So call any method just before finalized method, and which method to call and which method to call after constructor. This all can be managed by Bean life cycle management. How we do that? So we should, okay, so I'll teach you the law of Mansoor today. Okay, how to do life management. So one of my friends, he is a IT software engineer. So he has very less experience, but he's got a very healthy package, quite a very handsome package compared to his experience. So when I asked him, how did you earn such a handsome package? So he told me that in the interview, I would tell the interview panel that for this question, I have three answers, and I would give three different answers for each question, and then I would tell them which is the best solution in that. So his name is Mansoor. So we can apply the law of Mansoor over here. So life cycle management, we can do using three ways. One is a programmatic approach. One is your XML based, and third is your annotation based. So we have three ways of managing the bean life cycle, and then I will show you which is the best way also. I'll show you all the three ways, and then in the end I will show you which is the best way. So let's first go to programmatic approach. Programmatic approach is a approach in which you have to use two interfaces. Okay, so you have to, it will insist that you use some interfaces. So there are two interfaces which we have to use. These are interfaces. Okay, so whenever you're using programmatic approach, it will always ask you that you have to use these interfaces. So this is an interface, and this also is an interface. Okay, so this has a method. Okay, and this also has a method. So whichever class will implement these interfaces will have to override those methods. Okay, So the method in this is after properties set. Okay, and the method in this is destroy. Okay, so this method will call immediately after the constructor is called, and this method will be called just before the finalize method. So if you want to apply that, you have to use these two beans in your class. So let's try to implement that. So let's take the player class. Okay, let's take the player class, and now I want this player class being managed life cycle management. Okay, so I will say implement. Which are the two interfaces? Who will tell me? Who will tell me what are the two interfaces which I have to implement? Initializing bean and so as I type INIT control space bar initializing bean, got it, and comma disposable bean, got it. Now why has it turned this player class into red? Because we have to add the unimplemented method. And what are the methods? Let's check. Got it. So when will this method be called now? When will this method be called? Invoked immediately after constructor. Okay. And when will this method be called? Invoked just before. This is after, this is before. Just before object destruction. Okay. So now let's check this out. And so if I go and okay, I'll make a new class driver bean LC programmatic approach. Okay, let's check it, and now let's check this class. I had made for player no later on. Okay, let's check like okay. Where's the bean factory? So let's try. So what is the scope of this P1 bean? What is the scope of this bean, guys? Means will it be created when the IOC container loads, or will it be created when the request is sent? Okay, request is sent. So will it display constructor called first or high first? It will display high first, right? Because when the constructor is called, that time no bean is created, correct? So it will display high. Then when I request for this P1 bean, what will happen? It will create a bean for me. It will use which constructor to create the bean? It will create. It will use which constructor to create the bean? Parameterized or the no args? No args, because I'm using this by setter dependency injection. So it will call this constructor. So I've written over there player no args constructor called, correct? So it will display you this. Then what am I displaying over here? We'll call the toString function, right? So is there anything happening between the constructor and the toString function call? Is anything happening over here? Is my question. If I've implemented bean life cycle, if we have implemented bean life cycle, what happens? Just after the constructor call, which function will be called? The after property set. So this will be called immediately after constructor. So what will it show? Image invoked immediately after constructor, right? So it will show like this, and then it will show you call to the toString. Let's check this out. Right click, run as Java. See, this is the engine. Okay, so I'm not concerned about this, because whichever beans will be of type singleton, their objects will be created beforehand. So I'm not concerned about that. So I'm concerned with our output. Hi, hi. Player noargs constructor called. Player noargs constructor called. Immediately after the constructor, it is calling that method. Invoke immediately after constructor, and then the player toString is being called. Does that make sense? Now, when is the bean created? When you shut down the bean factory. When you shut down the bean factory, all the beans are destroyed. So when will it call the destroy function? When the beans are destroyed, and when they are when are the beans destroyed? The beans are destroyed when you shut down this bean factory. So what is the syntax to shut down this bean factory? It's there in this Spring core. I'll just search for shutdown. Just search for the keyword shutdown, and you will get over here. See. So just copy these two lines and just paste it over here. So what we have done, what is our object name? Bean factory. We are typecasting this bean factory into a application abstract application context. That abstract application context has a shutdown method, which will shut down the IOC container. So once the IOC container shut down, all the objects will be destroyed. So let's try to check if it calls the destroy method now. Okay, so it should be calling the destroy function, because the when I shut down the bean factory, it destroys all the objects, and before the object is destroyed, we have written that it should call this function. Okay, so maybe should we also override the finalize method over here, because it calls just before finalize. No, it is called just before finalize. Let's write a empty finalize. Uh-huh. So it's not showing the destruction, because the destruction that all happens. See, it is started. That is all up to the garbage collector, and you can only request the garbage collector to uh, run. You cannot insist or force the garbage collector. Garbage collector daemon thread will run on its own time. No. So, but this is working. So this was the first approach wherein I was doing everything by programmatic approach. In my class, I was asking the class to implement these interfaces and write the methods on override them. Okay, this was first approach. Second approach is XML based. So XML based, what happens is you do not insist the class to implement the interfaces. Okay, so now I have to comment out these two because I cannot override them. So I'll comment out this much. But what happens in the XML approach is then your bean has some attributes. Okay, if you come over here, control space bar, you have a function called as destroy method and init method. So you can give the method names on your own. So if I give my own method name, init method is abc, control space bar, and destroy method is xyz. Let's say I give these my own methods. Now it will not be insisting you to implement any interface. Now you have to name those methods. Okay. So now the after property set you have written as ABC, no? So now the ABC function will work as your, no need for throwing exception, nothing. Now this ABC function will be called immediately after the object is created, constructor is created. And for the destroy we have written XYZ. So now you can write your own methods, whatever name you want to give, and they will work as init and destroy method. And it will not ask you to implement any interface. See, it is not asking us to implement. I've commented out the interface, commented out the method. I'm keeping them so that you all can practice. And I have made my own methods. I can give whatever name I want to them. So ABC function will work as my init method will be called immediately after constructor, and XYZ will work as my destroy method will be called just before the object is destroyed. So I come back over here. Okay, so I've done the settings over here, and in the class I've done the proper arrangement, commented out the method, written my own methods. Okay, I'll just put exclamation mark over here so that you all know that it is this method which is being called, not the older one. I save it. Okay, I'll use the same method. Okay, so see, constructor has been called. This method has been called, and this I've done using the programmatic approach. And the third is the annotation approach. So you have annotations. How we have annotations? This is called as an annotation. At the rate override is an annotation which we have been using all this while. So now we have to learn more annotations. Okay. So this should be the first annotation which you have studied so far from the time of core Java. Now onwards, whatever task we will do till Spring Boot, will everything will be for annotation. So you will be using hundreds of annotations going forward. How to remember them? The more you use them, you'll understand and you can remember them in the interview. No need to buy heart. So you don't have to buy hard the override annotation, right? If they ask you what does the override annotation do, you know what it does. It's used for overriding. So similarly, now we'll use the annotation approach. Now what is that annotation approach? We will not give anything in the XML. So in the XML, I will not give anything. Okay, so I'll just cut it from here and I will paste it over here outside so that those who are practicing can practice it. You have to copy this and paste it inside. So now neither have I implemented any interface, neither am I implementing any interface, nor am I giving anything in the XML. Now we are left with annotation. So what we can do is, if you are trying to do annotation, then you have to do a small update in your XML file. You have to add this in the XML, and you have to use annotation config. Okay, just add it under the bean stack. Copy this from here and go to your context, and just underneath the beans over here at the first line, just write this. So you can use annotations now. So once I give annotation config, I save, then I go to the player class, and now I will annotate this ABC method as post on pre over here. Which activity is post? Which activity is pre? This activity is after, right? So it is post. And what it is? After the constructor. So it is post construct. So we have an annotation called as at the rate post construct. And then we have this is happening before. So it is called as pre. And when is it pre? Before what? Before destroy. So we have these two annotations at the rate post construct, at the rate pre destroy. So I will annotate this method ABC as at the rate post construct. Okay. So I just wrote post. I just wrote PO, give a control space bar. Then from here it will, you can choose whichever annotation you want. As you type, you can say I want this, and here I will annotate it as at the rate pre control space bar pre destroy. And now I am not using programmatic approach. No, am I using XML approach? I am using an annotation based approach. Okay, and I will just change this sign to dollar so that when it runs, you should know that the difference that it is being executed by the dollar. This is the fastest way. Okay, I'll shut down my application console. Everything is clear. Let's run it from here now and let's check if it works from as Java application. And now see, it is showing you as dollar. So I've shown you all the three ways of bean life cycle management.